Yes, good.
So, one of the worst things that happened this week.
Yes, I believe I know what you're referring to.
I find it interesting that, and I'm not just going to bullshit and give you guys a joke here. I mean, Roddy Piper, top of the, we're starting off at the top here. Roddy Piper is quite possibly one of the most influential and best mic workers that I've ever seen in my entire life. I really wanted to see a lot more of Piper, and I really wanted him to go on for a lot longer, but that wasn't in the plans. It wasn't in the cards, so he got called up a little early. He's one of my, if not my most favorite, besides like Hogan during the rock and roll era, but my favorite rock and roll era wrestler, bar none. This show is in memory of him. So let's start the show. Hello everyone and welcome to Woo Get Serious. My name is Gunnar and that is Omega BR.
Yes, truly a loss.
And also joining us this week is our wonderful technical producer, Mr. Yankum DDS.
Every time I have to play that bell salute, I die a little bit inside.
Completely understandable. I mean, at first it was Roddy, and then it was, first it was Dusty rather, and then it was Roddy. I mean, come on, man, that's just terrible. All right, so we're going to start here. We're going to start with the news. WWE's second quarter call revealed that as of June 30th, they have 1.156 million paid network subscriptions, down from the 1.327 million they announced the day after WrestleMania 31. They reported 3.5 million in pay-per-view revenue. Extreme Rules did 56,000 buys, down from 108,000. And Money in the Bank did 57,000, down 122,000. Down from 122,000. They also discussed the plans for a new NXT reality show and a show called Table 3, bringing fans to the dinner table with superstars and divas. A new 3-month subscription card is planned to hit retail stores soon. Maybe they'll get some sort of discount on that. Maybe they'll make that like $25 or something.
Well, I think people would be a lot more willing to, for example, give it as a gift if they could do it that way. I know it's just the convenience factor, all those gift cards at the end of the checkout aisle, along with the Cosmopolitans and such.
He makes a network and puts it for like $10 less than whatever the WWE network card would be, and lots of kids end up with shitty TNA network cards because, hey, little Jimmy likes wrestling.
I do wonder, though, they were supposed to apparently have 2 million subscribers to make a profit. Was that right?
2 million would put them in. 1 million would put them in the black, and then 2 million would be their goal.
Oh yeah. Well, I guess they can't. Yeah, I guess as long as they didn't lose money on it, but it's kind of hard. It's a very tumultuous thing, I think, because I feel like they've done an okay at best job at producing material for the network, and probably not enough. I kind of like that Swerve show just because it's silly to watch, and that's the kind of show that you can pretty easily do, and it really doesn't cost them anything. And
the talent doesn't like it though, apparently.
Yeah. Apparently there's rumors it was going to be canceled because talents are complaining, which I can understand, to be honest, because it's pretty off kilter. I'm not sure I like the idea of an NXT reality show because I think NXT as a brand is working very well right now, and if you try to overcomplicate it with these things about, well, let's see, here's Finn Balor, unleashing the demon and everything, and now let's watch him, goof around at the DMV when Hideo Itami's trying to get his United States driver's license or whatever. I don't know. I think that I'm kind of talking myself into it now. But
I kind of see what you're saying, though. As much as we're, internet wrestling,
like a total fans, a total NXT or a total NXT instead of a total.
There you go. That's the analogy I needed. I want to see a total NXT. I think NXT works well on its own. I don't need to see them. If the idea is, following the drama of them trying to make it to the main roster, well, that's really not what it is. I don't think. I think they need.
Honestly, I would be perfectly okay if they hired the people from HBO that did the Fight Night things, and they made pieces like that about NXT. And about certain superstars and whatnot that are there, and they just did these pieces on them about their lives and whatnot, like similar to the Finn Balor one. I would like to see that. I don't want to see total NXT. Because when I see total NXT, I want to turn off NXT.
I almost think that's maybe what they have in mind because of such a positive reaction to that ESPN piece where they kind of profiled Xavier Woods and Adam Rose and everything.
Right.
Well, speaking of profiling, the Observer reports that TNA actually decided to fire MVP after the Hernandez Lucha Underground situation because it was MVP who pushed for Hernandez to be brought in for his BDC stable. Of course, as you recall, Hernandez had to effectively be removed and a ton of footage edited because he was not legally allowed to be with TNA due to his contractual obligations to Lucha Underground. James Storm has finally parted ways with the company, saying he's finished up his responsibilities. TNA filmed segments apparently with a big name under a Bigfoot costume as part of a promotion for Destination America. Global Force announcer Shale Sonnen claims the company made a deal with Roddy Piper to do a Piper's Pit at their TV taping, after which Sonnen would be, quote-unquote, pass the torch as far as Piper's Pit goes to do his own version. And if that wasn't rumoristic enough, there's a rumor that WWE executives have met with Destination America executives to shop superstars in main event, apparently trying to do so to pretty much any network that would buy them.
That's so funny to me. Hey guys, you guys are doing wrestling? Come do wrestling business with us with the C shows that we tape before Raw and SmackDown that you should totally buy. Totally, completely, because they're shopped internationally. But Destination America, oh man. They're just suckers.
Well, I find it funny that WWE is, this literal global force in wrestling, and they seem to be doing all the things that all the people beneath them are doing. They're talking to arenas that run Ring of Honor. They're doing apron spots and such. Assuming there's legitimacy to this, talking to Destination America of all channels to try and shop around these basically dark match shows.
And you know what? They would do 400,000 a week, and they would be happy with that.
That'd probably be more than Bigfoot ate my baby. I was trying to come up with something there. Yeah, I was trying to tie in the dingo ate my baby thing, and I was like, fuck, where am I going with this? And then I just kind of gave up on it. But yeah, Bigfoot ate my baby.
Speaking of giving up, who hasn't given up on TNA at this point? I mean, who's still sitting there? It's actually like their name.
Well, you have Angle, of course. I think he'll be with TNA. Maybe not till forever. I mean, never say never, forever, or what have you. But you've got Angle, you've got the Hardys, you've got the Wolves, you've got Eric Young. I guess technically the GFW guys now, including Magnus and a lot of their old talent.
Angle will only be there. Well, all of those guys you just talked about will only be there for as long as TNA exists, which probably isn't going to be a whole lot longer, given the way things stand.
Yeah, I mean, I keep hearing about how Angle wants to go back to WWE at some point and finish his career. I mean, these rumors just keep coming up about how he's going to do that, and I just don't understand when they're going to do that, because it's like, you should do it now. You should do it now instead of waiting until until he can't walk anymore, like Edge.
Well, I don't think WWE necessarily wants him right now. I think. Remember, they had talks that broke down when Angle's contract was up, and Angle wanted a full deal, and WWE was like, "No, we want you on kind of a Lesnar deal," and so
he should be on a Lesnar deal. Goddammit!
Oh yeah,
and he's an idiot for trying to think that he could do anything else.
Wait, I thought it was the other way around, that Angle didn't want to work a full schedule. And that's what he said. WWE wanted. Oh, I got confused. I thought he was saying the WWE wanted him on the like a Lesnar schedule. I'm confused.
No, they wanted him to work a full schedule, and then he wanted the Lesnar schedule. And he was like, "No, I can't do that."
Well, I don't know. I think there were some fundamental differences in what they want beyond that. And TNA, as I've said before, TNA has been very, very good to Angle. They effectively, from the day he stepped foot, have effectively made him their Hogan, their Austin, their top guy in every sense of the word. So, I'm sure.
Which is exactly what he deserves, to be perfectly honest.
Well, yeah, he is effectively, maybe not on paper, but he is essentially the biggest name TNA ever had that was popular before TNA. Anyway, yeah.
Speaking of big names. Speaking of things that were popular before TNA, i.e. everything. A hearing in Hulk Hogan's lawsuit against Gawker saw Hogan's side argue the chance to prove that Gawker was directly involved in the leak audio revealing racist and homophobic comments, and that this is the reason they wanted the FBI records. The new trial date is March 7th, 2016, due to the judge's full calendar of mortgage foreclosures. Fortune.com published an article profiling Heather Dietrich, president and general counsel of Gawker, who said she believes it's their job to tell celebrity stories the way they don't want them told, instead the way the public wants to hear them. She also gave reasoning for publishing the sex tape clips, saying not to do so would contribute to rumors, noting a Gawker reporter saw video of Rob Ford smoking crack but couldn't acquire it, leading to Ford denying the allegation. Big Brother UK, who wanted Hogan to join the program, are apparently now looking at China instead.
Oh, for the love of fuck.
What a swerve there.
Why? Like, just... Okay. I'm still mad at Gawker for releasing that, because I saw it, and I can't... Like, all the eye bleach in the world, not enough. Just not enough.
Well, everybody knows why they published it. I mean, it's completely obvious why they published it.
Money.
Well, yeah, and they want people to visit the site, and they feel it's newsworthy because Hulk Hogan's a household name, and of course, any celebrity that's a household name is in one way or the other when these kind of scandalous things happen. But they still haven't really given an excuse as to why this was newsworthy. Well, they haven't come out and said that, first of all. They dance around that fact that they wanted to publish it and they wanted people to see it. And they kind of dance around this idea that, Hogan, he's talked all this game about his sex life and this tape proves that what really goes down, and what does that have to do with news? Nothing really. I mean, if Hogan said some stuff in this tape about how, Nick totally hated that guy and he was glad he got paralyzed and things like that, then you've got some kind of criminal implications, I think. But there's really nothing other than the fact that Hulk's a celebrity and this is an embarrassing thing for a celebrity to have put out, or as it would be for anybody, really. And the fact that they won't just come out and admit that and have the stones to do so really makes you, particularly when, again, you consider their feelings on the whole, those other celebrity leaks involving Jennifer Lawrence and others, then, it's pretty shameful.
The whole "you're a rapist for looking at those pictures" line that they gave on, I think it was Jezebel, which is Gawker owned, and then I think it was like a couple of weeks before or after they were posting naked photos of a nude celebrity, like a nude male celebrity, right along with their. It's. I'm not going either way on their politics, but they pander to a certain audience, and they toe that line for their audience really hard, and do whatever it takes to get as many clicks and views and ad impressions as they possibly can, regardless of whatever consequences might be.
Well, this Heather Dietrich, president and general counsel, says in that article she always wanted to be a First Amendment lawyer. So I think part of this is a bit of an ego thing for her too. That in defending the First Amendment, we have to defend our right to post nasty things about celebrities we either don't like or don't really care very much about. I don't think that they necessarily hate Hulk Hogan. I think they had a juicy story and they ran with it. But the fact that they're trying to paint themselves as said before, journalistic crusaders and rebels, and we print what other people won't, and this and that. I think it's all a bunch of bunk. And at least if they would come out and admit themselves, at least I could say, I might not still like it. But I could say, well, at least they had the stones to say, this is what we do,
Journalism as dog shit is to culinary art.
We have more journalistic integrity than Gawker ever had to begin with. So
and we're not even journalists. We're not even journalists. We're just three nerds on the internet talking about wrestling for the love of God. Like, how sad for them.
Right.
Also, I kind of want to see that video of Rob Ford smoking crack. I'm getting a collection. I'm getting a collection together. I've got the DC mayor smoking crack. Now I'd like to have the Toronto mayor smoking crack as well.
And by the
I
way,
want to make a super cut of mayors smoking crack.
And by the way, last time I checked, Rob Ford was not impeached or shamed really in almost any way. I think he's
He just lost an election.
Oh, he did?
Right.
That was it. He just lost an election, and he's no longer the mayor.
Well,
Also,
didn't he win one, though, after this came out?
Yep, he won one.
Well, that's my point, is it really didn't affect him negatively at all. And I'm not saying this doesn't affect Hogan negatively. I'm just saying, well, I don't know what I'm saying. I guess, I don't know.
I have the transition for this one.
Oh, go ahead.
Speaking of fat guys who smoke crack, officials are said to be over ZZ and want him out of the Tough Enough competition, with several videos of the coaches ripping into him being posted this week. I believe a line The Miz gave was that you are a serial underachiever, and that's why the people like you. Josh is seen as the favorite, and has been Vince McMahon's favorite since day one. Meanwhile, eliminated competitors Patrick and Mata competed in a six-man tag team match this weekend for MCW. There's a rumor that Swerve will be canceled after complaints from the WWE talent. Another rumor is that WWE is looking into doing network specials with matches filmed from a beach, similar to old Bash at the Beach and Nitro episodes. Please tell me that I can get some Santino going into the pool for some reason.
Yes!
And then you have like the Cobra like coming out of the water, like, and he has his own like floaty device.
Yes! Oh, dear God. And now I want this so bad.
See, he's
like the Cobra just pokes up out of the water with like water wings on, and it starts looking around. Yes,
it's like an inner tube, and it's looking around. Yeah.
Miz has been purposely healing it up on Tough Enough.
Miz is an asshole. This isn't him healing it up, bro. It's his real life like personality.
Well, you know, you've got. Well, I mean, obviously, ZZ didn't go home. It was Chelsea. After the bottom three was all females. During the drill, during the couples sequence drill, basically, Sarah Lee botched a slam on Gigi, and Gigi said, you know, you could have broken my neck, this and that. And Sarah at first sort of said it was a team thing and that they were kind of both at fault, and she didn't really realize that she had done something wrong. And that led to kind of an argument between Paige and Brian, where Brian said Gigi was overreacting, and Paige said that Sarah should have apologized, and that as newbies, it's a scarier thing than for somebody like Brian. And of course, Miz said he was going to put he said he was going to put Amanda up after saving her, saying that her looks did go to her head, but then he changed his mind and put up Chelsea because Chelsea seemed to have been, during that drill, selling and kind of playing to the crowd, which she got yelled at for because they hadn't really learned how to do that yet. And of course, Paige used her save on Gigi, which meant, and Sarah Lee got over half the vote, so Gigi would have gone home had Paige not saved her. So by default, Chelsea went home. And apologies for giving a little recap there. You probably already know what happened if you happen to watch this Tough Enough program, but
I did.
We highly not recommend them.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's basically how it went down, and they really are trying to paint a picture that ZZ should go home, and I think he's probably going. Well, he's definitely going to be in the top 2 men. I mean, there's only 6 of them left now at this point, and I think ZZ's definitely top 2, and I think Tanner is going to be lucky to make it to top 2, because even though he had early success, he is. They've also kind of painted him as sort of a loser, and with he was trying to spit game at Josh. Josh was trying to give him pointers, and it didn't work out very well. And ZZ. I mean, the thing is, is he the best guy? Probably not, but he's not prototypical, and that he has a connection with the fans that the others don't have yet, except for maybe Sarah. Of course, there's going to be one man and one woman who win.
And the WWE will take them into the company and then maybe do something with them for like a week or 2, get bored with it, and then discard them.
Well, I think USA will...
Silent rage.
USA will probably put a ton of pressure on them to do something with them. Either feature them on NXT, which I think is probably the most likely thing, but... I think Sarah Lee probably has it in the bag for the women, because, Amanda might as well already be eliminated, and Gigi is definitely getting a winner's edit, so to speak, as far as her, she's won all these challenges, and she's, really pretty and everything, but at the same time, she's also very prototypical, and I think she has a certain air about her, like she knows she's the best. So, and that, you really can't do that when the competition is a popularity vote. That's one thing about ZZ too. He stays very humble compared to the other guys.
Well, speaking of humble, somebody who's not very humble is Dana White, who caused Sir Friday Night after a fan tweeted at him that Vince has him beat due to WWE Network costing $9.99 compared to the $60 price tag for UFC 190. Dana tweeted back that fake shit should cost that much, prompting responses from fans and wrestlers alike, including Billy Ray, who said White should apologize to the industry that laid the groundwork for his own, and even Seth Rollins, who said White has had a million matches, so his opinion should be taken as gospel. Disco Inferno actually defended White, saying that if the matches looked realistic, such as Brock Lesnar crippling his opponents with his bare hands, people wouldn't treat it condescendingly. White later responded to other tweets, saying he was responding to a random person hating on him on Twitter with jokes, and that he does so every week. I don't think that's really hating on someone to say, hey, I think this guy's got you beat because his price is lower. That doesn't sound like hate. That sounds like an opinion.
Well, at the same time, the way it kind of went down, it didn't really seem like White was being disrespectful or meaning to be. It really did seem like he was just trying to dog somebody who came at him on Twitter. I mean, it didn't. I mean, if you know White's history and what he said in the past and his interactions with McMahon and all this stuff, then you know that White respects wrestling, but White is very much of the camp that wrestling and UFC or MMA in general are two different things, and that wrestling is fake fights and MMA is real fights, and I can live with that opinion. I think the reason this became such a stir is because he threw out the F word, and that's a sensitive thing to those involved and invested in wrestling. But I personally, I'm of the opinion that if you get mad at Twitter, you've already lost.
Right, exactly. It just seems to me that he's not. It seemed to me he was more ripping on the guy than he was ripping on wrestling itself. I can completely understand the call for an apology. And Disco Inferno has a point, but it's not the main point and not the right point for this. I really think that it was disrespectful for him to say that thing, but at the same time, he's not openly ripping wrestling. He's just saying that it shouldn't cost that much, and he's right. It shouldn't. It shouldn't cost the consumer, more than it would to go see a movie, to see a pay-per-view. I mean, it's the same amount of length, and I understand it's the same amount of people who are working on it. Why should it cost $60 as opposed to the $10?
Well, Disco also said the best course of action probably would have been to ignore him, which I might have to agree with, because as this whole thing was going on and more wrestlers were making tweets in response to White, and a lot of them were pretty much the same thing, which was, I fake broke my leg, I fake traveled this many months or had this many injuries and things like that. It kind of got, I don't want to say embarrassing or anything. I certainly don't mean any disrespect to anybody, because it is perfectly understandable why they would be offended. But it was sort of jarring to me how many wrestlers felt the need to kind of speak up. Because I feel like, again, White, maybe we kind of paint this picture of White being this meat-headed kind of jockey guy who, he thinks his fights are the real deal, and which is probably true to a point. But again, like I said,
I mean, let's be perfectly honest here. The only difference between UFC and WWE is that in the UFC they really beat the shit out of each other.
And by the way, if you think that MMA isn't worked at all, period, you have another thing coming. I'm sorry. It's
fucking work, brother. It is a work, brother.
I mean, like I said, I think
boxing
and cricket.
Right.
But like I said, if White thinks that his fights are real fights and wrestling is fake fights, I can live with that. That's not so offensive to me. And in fact, CM Punk actually said in an interview a while back ago that something to that same tune. Actually, he said, it's people get offended by the word fake, but the reality is, it really, technically it is fake. We're not really going out there and fighting each other. We're not really going out there and that was basically it. We're not really going out there to dismantle each other. We can push each other to the limit and have a great match and everything. But at the end of the day, who's the better physical? I mean, you know what I'm saying.
All right, let's get into our last news bit here. WWE officials are said to be impressed with the lucha star Angelico and would offer him a deal if and when he becomes free. PWG's Battle of Los Angeles sold out in 3 minutes. Did somebody say 3 minutes? AJ Lee is apparently so disinterested in doing appearances right now that she's currently charging $15,000 plus travel and hotel. Jimmy Snuka's wife revealed he had stomach cancer and is currently undergoing surgery for it.
God damn it.
Hopefully everything went well with that. I'm not surprised by the AJ thing. If AJ doesn't become pregnant within the next, 12 to 18 months, I will be quite surprised. And Bola selling out in 3 minutes tells me they need to move to a bigger venue. While Reseda over there is perfectly fine and well, and that particular, what is it? Is it what is it normally? Like a bingo hall or something?
They should totally go to that place where the Clippers play. The Clippers are still a thing, right?
Not that big.
Well, it wouldn't be that big. It's for the Clippers.
Whatchamacallit. And,
yeah, dead air.
What say you? Did you catch my dragging on?
Yes, I did.
God.
15 minutes.
Best.
We don't even have anything.
No,
go ahead.
This week I think we should talk about Paige and the Divas Revolution, because as you know, Paige was the replacement guest for Hogan on Steve Austin's podcast, Post Raw podcast this week. Did either of you listen to that podcast?
I listened to the Stone Cold podcast.
Well, nothing really. I don't really have a recap in front of me or anything. Nothing super mind-blowing or controversial happened, which I really didn't expect. I mean, there's only so many things. No disrespect to Paige, of course, but there's only so many things you can really ask her. They did play up the fact that she is a 10-year veteran very heavily. Very heavily. Her mother was doing bumps when she was 7 months pregnant with her, so, she's basically been born into wrestling even before she was born. They get into family stories mostly, Paige tending bar at 15 for her family, doing these tryouts. Her first tryout, she was told she had to be a diva, so she went and, pardon me, she went and got a tan, and, imagine that, tan Paige. Went and got tan, did her hair and all this stuff, and she felt really awkward, and then on the second tryout months later, she just was herself and really kind of got the attention. Just talking about being the anti-diva and things like that, and the girls at NXT didn't like her at first because they thought she was, they thought she had her own agenda, and basically she was just different, I mean, she found it hard to train with people sometimes because something might slip or something, and she would curse a lot in the ring, and the girls would think she was really mad, and she was just mad at herself, that kind of thing. Which kind of transitions into this whole Divas Revolution thing. How do you guys feel, if I may ask, about this so-called Divas Revolution so far? It's been about, a few weeks now, going on a month since Stephanie McMahon changed the face of women's wrestling in the entire world forever.
It's going to take a minute for the WWE to actually sit there and really embrace the girls. I've noticed that the fan reactions after about the 3 or 5 minute mark where everybody's expecting the Divas match to end, after that point, and they're still going, that they really get into it, and that things actually start happening. Go figure, right? I really have been enjoying these matches that have been going on. They've been really tepid with what they're doing and how they're doing it, and booking wise, and the girls are going pretty much all out in their matches and trying to prove their point because this is their time to shine. I don't like the fact that it's Nikki Bella that they're still chasing after, and that I think 4 or 5 of the girls are the old girls from past, and then the rest of the girls that you used to see on television are just not there anymore because they don't have time for them. While people like Cameron and Summer Rae don't belong in the ring, to be perfectly honest. There are a couple people that are stuck in NXT at the moment that should be in that ring, along with all of them. I was hoping for a complete, wash of the Divas division, where they would release a whole bunch of people and to tell them, well, it's just not working out, and we're going to try all these new girls because that's what I thought that was going to happen. But the way they're doing it now, it's been all right. I think Charlotte's going to be the one to take the Divas title. I think it will no longer be the Divas title after Charlotte takes it. I really hope that that's the case. I really never want to see that butterfly belt again. Because I think somewhere in the interview, in the Stone Cold podcast, she talked about how, Paige talked about how she didn't want the Divas title to be Divas title anymore. She wants to change it back to the women's title. And I totally agree.
She did make a sly little... She said she wanted to be Divas champion again, and then kind of under her breath, maybe make it women's champion or something like that. Yeah, which I don't think is going to happen.
There's no way in hell Vince and creative and the assholes in charge would allow that to happen.
I don't.
Here's something they can't do. They can't put a registered trademark on women's champion. They can put a registered trademark on Divas, WWE Divas, but they cannot really... You can't trademark women's champion because so many sports already have, women's champions. They're not going to give up that IP just for any reason ever, I would imagine.
You can trademark WWE Women's Champion specifically,
right? But it's not.
But you're right.
That would be watered down.
It's more of a, especially with Total Divas. It's now more of a brand,
right?
And the thing is, I think they might go for a redesign of the belt, which is probably about time anyway. It's been like 8 years by now, believe it or not. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I'll double check. But I think you could rebrand it and get rid of the butterfly design and maybe make it a little more like the NXT Women's title, which is still pink and rhinestone and everything.
Classy,
but
it's
classy. Yeah, it's more of a...
It's classy though.
The way they have Divas, the logo that for Total Divas, the way they have the word Divas, I could see a redesign where they put that in the center and make it more uniform rather than this. It's really even hard to read what the current Divas title is. I mean, it's like the D and the S and the V is like the wings and everything, and it just looks really gaudy and kind of childish, really. But so I think frankly it's been due already since they made Total Divas a thing. I thought maybe they would have already done it by now, but
I wish they would.
Have you guys had a favorite match since they started this shindig? Or is there anything that has stuck out to you that has made one girl in particular stick out?
I don't know about one girl in particular, and I think that's almost a good thing because I like the fact that that they're beating each other. I like the fact that Sasha can make Paige tap out, and Becky Lynch can make Nikki tap out. I think is what or no, I guess it was Charlotte. But Charlotte can make Nikki tap out, and they can actually have these matches. And like you were saying, Gunnar, it's more than just sort of you can tell they're really giving them a chance. You know, they're actually. It's not so much that they're trying to do it for them; they're just giving them the chance. You know, they're giving them 2 matches a show, and a feature on SmackDown. You know, and like you said, it is the fact that it's these 3 factions right now, and all the other girls are sort of on the sidelines again. But you know, if that's what it takes to kind of pave the way for more to get involved, then so be it. I think.
You know, Summer Rae and Lana are actually getting a lot of time too, and I want to bring that up here for a second because I really have kind of enjoyed that feud. I know it's like mid-card, and I know it's kind of ridiculous, and I know it's just kind of a holding pattern for Rusev and whoever it is that he's deciding to feud with at that particular time, but I find it to be fascinating. I find it to be really good, actually, surprisingly. Normally I would like poo-poo on that kind of stuff because, you know, lol attitude era, but it's actually been decent. The fish thing was really funny. I laughed at that pretty hard. But Summer coming out as Lana and dressing pretty much the same way is the best role for her right now. You know, just the bimbo arm candy for some guy. And no offense to her, but she does better as Miss Elizabeth than she would as, you know, any sort of wrestling capacity.
They did for a while sort of strip the Divas of the role of manager. I mean, you could be a manager, but you also had to be a wrestler, and you also had to, you know, basically be on call to be in a match. And which, you know, Summer and Lana, I'm sure, if they're going to pull the trigger on this big Lana push at some point, I'm sure, you know, they can be on call. But I do like the fact, like you said, that they have Summer kind of in this role right now. It's a better fit for her than, you know, being girl number 6 in a random 6-diva tag match that, you know, previously no one would care about, and nor should they. But I think, well, let me ask you this. Where do you see this going at the moment? Because we have these 3 factions. Are they just gonna feud with each other until they figure out something different for them?
Until WrestleMania, I think, and I think that sometime before that, probably Survivor Series, we'll see the title change, and it'll fall into Charlotte's hands, I think.
Because, you know, previously I said, and it wasn't quite fair of me to say this, that I enjoyed what they were doing, but I felt that the matches were all sort of unimportant, and I felt that they were all sort of... well, what I said was, the matches are great by Divas match standards, but they're very kind of dull and, you know, so-so by NXT Diva standards, which I think is sort of true, but... And
if they're still trying to get people used to the NXT standards as opposed to the regular standards, because if you think about it, the only people that watch NXT is about 10% of that audience.
Well, and it's the fact that I kind of come to realize, you know, you really can't have a 4-star match on TV every week, especially when you have 2 Divas matches and you're kind of crafting this story. I think what really kind of flipped, you know, kind of made the gears turn was the fact that, you know, we did have Sasha make Paige tap, and that's the kind of thing that doesn't really happen a whole lot in WWE over the past years and years, really. I mean, just have a heel beat a face clean in a match and they're equals. That's the thing. You know, if Bad News Barrett beats Zack Ryder, that's completely expected. But if Bad News Barrett beats Neville clean on TV, then that's not quite as expected. You know, you expect Barrett to, you know, rip the turnbuckle pad off, or, you know, have his elbow loaded or something like that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Or, you know, even in the case of Kevin Owens, they buried him to hell after he got his clean win on Cena. I mean, he got one, but then the payback is so detrimental to the character that it just makes him another guy, like he is right now with Cesaro. While I believe that those two are like, you know, the B-plus players of the current second, I don't see them getting involved with the WWE title picture until after SummerSlam. which thankfully is in a couple weeks. But at the same time, it's like those two should be in the WWE title picture, and one of them, Cesaro specifically, should have the the Money in the Bank case. And I'm really mad that Sheamus has it right now, because I don't want to see Sheamus as the WWE champion again. I mean, even now, if I never saw Sheamus as the WWE champion ever again, I think I would be happy with that.
Well, to kind of wrap this up and kind of bring it back to the Divas, I think overall, I think they've done a pretty good job of making this important, and again, not just telling us that it's important, actually having these matches on TV every week, having them beat each other, having them sort of establish their crews, and this is the kind of thing you can really kind of push for months on end. Really, I don't necessarily think I want to see the same, three groups fighting for months on end without there being more to it than that. But I guess that's where, that's on them to kind of make it more, when you do have a pay-per-view, do you have a triple threat where they all send a representative? Do you do maybe a mini tournament to determine who Nikki's going to be?
No, I'm sorry. It would be a 9-woman tag tornado. 9-woman tornado tag match.
I mean, there's a possibility.
Okay, hold on a second. When was the last time you saw a tornado tag match?
It's been a while.
I'm hungry.
I think they did one at, was the tag match at Elimination Chamber Tornado, technically? Inside the chamber?
I don't know. I don't think that counts.
It was. Well, they weren't tagging each other, right?
I don't know if that counts as because it was inside a chamber, like in a cage or the Hell in a Cell. I guess that would still, but not in a chamber. Anyway,
I'll look it up. I think it's the Shield and Daniel Bryan and Kane from Extreme Rules 2013.
Let's just do this.
With the ratings, it's Yankum.
Of course, when I'm clicked away. Alright, in the ratings, we have Impact, which did 343,000 viewers, up from the 317,000 it had done the previous show. ROH did 171,000 viewers, that's up from the 139,000 it had done previously. SmackDown drew 2.443 million viewers. That's up 4% from last week's 2.353. And Raw did 3.702 million, up 1% from last week's 3.671 million. And finally, we have the combo breaker, Tough Enough, which drew the series low of 856,000, down 12% from the 980,000 it had done the week before.
Alright, I'm going to take birthdays. Happy birthday to Kazarian on the 4th, Dean Malenko, and Kensuke Sasaki. On the 5th, Ikuto Hidaka, Unico, Kendo Kashin, and Stan Lane. On the 6th, it's Dino Bravo. On the 8th, it's Sable. On the 10th, it's Amish Roadkill, Big Boss Man, Stu Sanders, Tugboat / Typhoon, and the answer to all your questions about who's the daddy, Savio Vega. And now it is time for This Week in Wrestling with Omega BR.
Yes, This Week in Wrestling History. Circa 1984, where New Japan Pro Wrestling ran Sumo Hall in Tokyo, Japan, with Antonio Inoki defeating Riki Chozu in a highly anticipated singles match. Jump to 1996, where the Great Sasuke defeats Ultimate Dragon in the finals of a tournament to unify 8 separate junior heavyweight titles into one unified J-Crown Championship. And in 1998, ECW holds their Heatwave pay-per-view in Ahara Arena in Dayton, Ohio. ECW World Champion Shane Douglas, out of action with an arm injury, did color commentary with announcer Joey Styles for the show. Tommy Dreamer, the Sandman, and Spike Lee defeated Bubba Ray, Devon, and Big Dick Dudley in the main event, while FTW champion Taz defeated Bam Bam Bigelow via submission in a Falls Count Anywhere match. And that was this week in wrestling history.
Happy Trails this week to Sunny, who has been charged with 3 separate DUI incidents. She was scheduled for a hearing, but failed to appear. And a somber Happy Trails once again to Roddy Piper, who passed away in his house at age 61 due to cardiac arrest in his sleep. What a lovely way to go. Alright, points.
Well, here's the thing. I've got to type in a couple numbers here, so why don't you guys go ahead and start with your what to watch, and I will give you your points.
Alright.
Right before I do mine.
Omega, what should we watch this week in wrestling?
Well, I think you should do a menagerie of Piper's greatest moments. You know, we had the moment at WrestleMania where he blew the fire extinguisher. We had hitting Snuka with the coconut on Piper's pit. We had really any of the... I would like to comment on Piper's pit. You know, correct me if I'm wrong, that pretty much was the segment that paved the way for so many others, you know, from the...
There was one before that, and I forgot who it was. I think it was Buddy Rogers who did it before him. But other than that, yes, he was number 2.
Well, I'm sure there were segments before it, but this one was real. This is the one that sticks in everybody's mind when you think of things like the highlight reel or, you know, even just Carlito's Cabana or just any of them really with the theme. You know, they all go back to, well, they're doing it because Piper did it. This is their version of Piper's Pit. You know, that's what goes through the mind. And, you know, and it's not, and it's more than just, you know, setting up a crest and some, you know, plaid flannel wallpaper and, you know, a couple of director's chairs. You know, it's the moments like the coconut and things, you know, things like that.
I get what you're saying. I agree with you that without Piper's Pit, there would be no highlight reel. There would be no cutting edge. There would be no Wiz TV, which would probably be for the best.
I'm not sure there would be a lot of segments where people really where wrestlers really, rather than just a standard promo, where the wrestler is really in control. Like, this is their show, this is their domain, this is their opportunity to enhance their personality. You know, because you know, the highlight reel is more than a 90s club floor and a bunch of inexplicable cardboard cutouts and the obscenely expensive Geratron 5000. Those are all facets of Jericho's character, you know, and plus the same with the cutting edge and Miz TV, of course, and really all of these segments that, you know, there's been dozens of them by now.
Hell, even Miz and Morrison had one in ECW. Go figure, right?
Yeah, that was,
Don't Lunchbox? Wasn't it?
No, it was the dirt sheet.
The dirt sheet. That's right. That's what it was.
Yeah, that was really the. And there's two. Who would have thought Miz would be WWE champion? There's that paved the way for guys like Miz, who before his team up with Morrison in such a way was basically the guy who was known for botching phone numbers on the Diva search.
This week I'm going to suggest that we watch Anderson Nakamura from the G1 tournament this year. I won't tell you who won, but oh man, was I surprised by this particular match. Yankum, it's all you.
Well, I'm not going to suggest a wrestling match. I'm going to suggest They Live from 1988, which is arguably Roddy Piper's best movie. He was in a few. Some of them were really, really bad. I'm looking at you, Hell Comes to Frogtown. You're a piece of shit. But it's not Roddy's fault. I'm pretty sure he didn't write the script for that one. And if he did, I guess I'll have to force myself to like it. So go watch that. I'm sure it's on Amazon, and it's probably on Netflix. And if not, Pirate Bay. So with that said, let's get into the points. First off, we have Gunner taking negative 10 points for being late. And then Matt Jester taking 271 points added to his score for not being here. -3 to Omega BR for liking Swerve. -2 for Omega BR for the horrible transition between stories 1 and 2. 2 points to Gunner for getting my Dingoes Ate My Baby reference. That's kind of an obscure one. 4 more points to Gunner for agreeing with me. I don't remember about what. I probably should have put that in the notes. -5 to both of you for confusing me during that Angle story. -3 to Gunner for reading a story that reminds me the Hogan sex tape even exists. Could have went the rest of my life without remembering that. That said, he gets 5 points, Gunner does, added back to his score for the Santino in the pool with the Cobra wearing water wings idea. That was fantastic. -1 to Omega BR because I was so bored while you explained Tough Enough. I don't watch Tough Enough for a reason. +5 points to ZZ because fuck you. That's why. 3 points to Gunner for advocating pay-per-views for cheap. 2 points for knowing that the UFC is a work brother. 4 points to Omega BR for being about half a syllable off from saying nah mean. 10 points to Omega BR for explaining how awesome Paige is. -2 points to Gunner for pointing out the obvious about WWE getting behind the Divas. The only way WWE officials are getting behind Divas is if they're unzipping their flies. +1 for Bella Hate to to Gunner, because Bella Hate is always justified, and 4 points to Gunner for Charlotte Love, and then -10 points to Gunner for getting my hopes up about it becoming the women's title. It will never happen.
Yes, it will. I'd be willing to put a bet on it.
It will not happen.
I will put a bet on it.
It will not. Will you drink your own piss?
I won't go that far.
Yeah, you're not all that serious about it, then, are you?
No, I'm not all that stupid about it.
Hey, the one guy did it. 5 points to Omega BR for calling for a redesign of the Tramp Stamp belt. I've hated that thing since it first appeared. Get rid of it. Jesus Christ, the NXT belt, the NXT women's belt looks so good. There's no reason the main title should look like a cheap chintzy toy. Minus 10 points to Gunner for calling Cesaro and Owens B-plus players. I think not, sir. 10 points for saying that Sheamus shouldn't have the Money in the Bank to Gunner. And then minus 5 points for mangling names to Gunner during the birthdays. I thought NJ was here for a minute, and I almost ran away. Finally, 10 points to Omega BR for saving the history segment that Gunner forgot to fill out. Good job, Gunner. And 5 points to Omega BR for the awesome pausing for dramatic effect during the reading of those history bits. That gives us a total of Netchester this week with 271 points, bringing him up to 0. Omega BR with 23 points, giving him a total of 70 points. And finally, Gunner, who scored, pause for dramatic effect, negative 14 this week for a total of negative 36 points. Stay tuned for next week when Netchester comes back and gets negative 271 points for showing up.
Will he get 271 points for not showing up next week?
If he does not show up, I will give him, and this is on record, we're live on the air and we're recording, I will give Netchester another 271 points if he does not show up next week.
Will you subtract the 542 points from him if he does this for multiple weeks?
You mean if he doesn't show up for multiple weeks?
Yes.
Will I subtract the amount of points that he earned?
Yes.
While I'm not here when he shows up. The answer is he will receive negative infinity points. I'm not sure how to do that in a Google Doc. I'll have to Google it. He'll receive negative infinity points when he shows up.
All right. Thank you all for listening. We really appreciate it. You can check us out online at smarksnark.com, twitter.com/smarksnark, facebook.com/smarksnark. You can give us a phone call at 812-408-WOO. That is 812-408-9666. You can also email us at smarksnark@gmail.com if you really need to get a hold of us. And I think that's it. So, one more thing I have to plug. And Jerry Lynn, if you're not aware, is looking to raise $15,000 for a particular medical procedure that he needs to be done. He has insurance, it's just that he needs to pay the $5,000 deductible, and he's going to be out of work for a while, so he needs the extra money for that. Hold on 1 second while I pull that information up.
In the meantime, I'm going to play random sounds.
Oh, wait, here it is. GoFundMe.com /help Jerry Lynn. HELPJERRYLYNN. We are at currently $14,830 of the $16,000 that they will need. I think they upped that because of the take that whatchamacallit.
Right.
The
GoFundMe does
charges.
take a certain percentage.
Right. So a lot of workers were sharing it during Monday Night Raw. He's gonna get that. It was raised by 485 people in 3 days. So there you go. Jerry Lynn is I've met Jerry Lynn. I've hung out with Jerry Lynn. Jerry Lynn is quite possibly one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet in your entire life. You want him around for cool things like going to a horror movie or going to a Rob Zombie show because he is quite a big fan of both of those things. All right. And check that out. GoFundMe.com /help Jerry Lynn. Every dollar over there, bid amount will go to a Central Tennessee sort of charity that helps families in need in that area. The Nashville Rescue Mission is where it's going to go, offering food, clothing, shelter, and homeless recovery programs to those enslaved in life-degrading problems, as it says here on the GoFundMe site. So go check that out. Thank you all for listening, and remember, we wish you well in your past, present, and future endeavors.
Good night, Escanaba.